Hey friends, and welcome back. This week I'm sharing 7 delicious and balanced salad recipes. I am personally a big salad lover, especially in the summertime, but I like to make sure they have lots of flavor, different textures, and keep me full for a while. Now, some of these are rather ideas than full recipes. Salads are usually very forgiving when it comes to swapping out ingredients, but that's what makes them so fun. Use whatever you like and get inspired by these recipes. Now, let's get into it. We're starting strong by making one of my favorites at the moment. This one is actually very easy to make. It's pretty much just assembly. So to a large bowl, I add some crispy greens, cooked and cooled quinoa, as well as some chickpeas to build the base of the salad. I then add some veggies, pomegranate seeds and crispy onions. And to make the dressing, I combine unsweetened soy yogurt, some tahini, salt and lemon juice. Give it a mix and dilute with water until it's a pourable consistency like this. I drizzle it all over the salad and then also add some chili oil, which will add a mild heat and contrast the creamy yogurt dressing as well as the sweet pomegranate seeds. So of course I'm mixing it all together and season to taste, just with a bit more salt. I would recommend eating this one fresh, as the onions and greens might get a bit soggy otherwise. I've called this one the ultimate spring salad because it uses seasonal produce and white beans. I used a bunch of fresh herbs like chives, dill and parsley, as well as some radishes and crispy greens, which I all cut pretty finely. Now, another ingredient I used here was some fennel, which I know a lot of people don't like, and I also used to think that, but I highly recommend giving fennel a go in this salad. I'm only using half a small head here anyways, and the flavor is super subtle when you slice it very thinly. If you really don't want to use it though, I would switch it out for some white cabbage. Now, before assembling, we'll make a quick dressing, which is just Dijon mustard, the best olive oil you have, white wine vinegar, salt and pepper. Shake this up in a jar to emulsify, and then we can put the salad together. The crispy greens as the base, some white beans, which I just get from a can, green peas, the fennel, radishes and all of those chopped herbs. Add the vinaigrette on top, and you can season to taste with more salt. As always, just add whatever you think the salad might need to suit your taste buds. Ever since filming this recipe, I've actually made this one like 3 times because it is so delicious and quick to make, and with some crusty bread you have a full meal which perfectly highlights the spring produce. Moving on, we're making this roasted tomato pasta salad, the first salad today that actually needs proper cooking. This is one of those dishes where you can use whatever you want, honestly. Apart from the tomatoes, you can switch out the veggies, you can skip the chickpeas or use beans instead. For seasoning, I kept it pretty simple with oregano, thyme, salt and pepper, and drizzled some oil before baking for about 25 minutes until the tomatoes are blistered and the chickpeas are crunchy. While that was doing its thing and some pasta was cooking away, I got some basil from the balcony, which I have not killed my basil plant yet. Very proud of that. Once the veggies are out of the oven, you can squish the tomatoes with the back of a spoon to release their juice. Add the cooked pasta, some arugula to make it feel a bit more like a salad, and the fresh basil, or some balsamic would be nice too if you want that, and serve it up. Honestly, I was having a full moment with this, sitting outside. It was slightly raining but super warm, and it was just a great pasta salad, what can I say? Okay, this next one maybe stretches the definition of a salad, but roasted carrot salad on a bed of creamy yogurt sounds like a very nice lunch, so we're going with it. I'm cutting up 3 large carrots for one person, kind of into uneven pieces, just for the looks of it, coating them in a mix of cumin, coriander and salt, drizzle with oil and then bake these for about 20 minutes until they're super brown. In the meantime, I'm making the sauce, or the coating, whatever you want to call it, to toss the carrots in after baking. This is made from parsley, garlic and capers, which I all cut very finely, and then transfer to the same bowl from earlier along with some hot honey. You can also use a mix of agave and chili flakes here if you would prefer. Once the carrots are looking beautiful, I'm getting them from the oven and right into that marinade and let it sit for just a minute. I then spread some thick soy-based skyr on a plate. The creaminess and neutral flavor of the skyr will kind of contrast the carrots in terms of texture and flavor. So then all of the carrots are going right on top. And then to add some crunch as well, I sprinkle on some toasted sesame seeds. But you can use any kind of toasted nuts or seeds here. This recipe would make a great sharing dish, a side or a full meal with some pita for dipping. Alright, I have another very easy and filling one coming up, this one using tempeh. As I said before, I'm just getting into using this as a source of plant-based protein, so I used a block of pre-seasoned curry tempeh here, but you can just use regular tempeh as well with some curry powder if you want. I then add some chili oil and soy sauce and give it a good mix before baking this. I like to roast tempeh and tofu as well at a high temperature for about 20 minutes because it gets super crispy that way. When it comes to veggies for this salad, you can honestly use whatever you want. I used this as an opportunity to clean out the fridge on a Sunday and used cucumber, radishes, kohlrabi and parsley. Cabbage or some carrot ribbons would also work great. So then I made a quick peanut, ginger, soy and agave dressing, and then it was time to assemble. The base of the salad was some rice. Quite a lot of rice because I ate this after my run. You can definitely use leftover rice for this if you want a cold salad instead of a warm one. So the rice was followed by the veggies and that crispy tempeh and that delicious peanut butter sauce. Not gonna lie, I kind of underestimated the amount of rice I would be cooking, so there wasn't quite enough dressing, but it was delicious nonetheless, and I did enjoy the tempeh, which, coming from an ex-tempeh hater, is a win in my books. This one also sits in the fridge pretty well. I would suggest keeping the tempeh separate though if you want it to stay crispy. Another very springy and seasonal salad I made this week was this asparagus and white bean salad, which only has a few ingredients but loads of flavor. Whenever I make a simple meal like this, I pay extra attention to the quality of each component to make sure they taste delicious. I was kind of hesitating including this one into the video because I thought it was too simple, but sometimes I think we need to be reminded that the simple stuff is often the best. And the combination of white beans and asparagus is very delicious. Alright, last but very much not least, we have a chili tahini Caesar pasta salad. Gotta work on that name, but this is delicious nonetheless, and it's also pretty quick to make. So I always start by cooking the pasta. I like to use spiral pasta for this, so fusilli or cavatappi would work great here. Then to make the dressing, this was inspired by one of my cookbooks where they made a spicy Caesar salad, but I didn't have like half the ingredients they used, so I just made my classic tahini Caesar dressing and added some chili oil for a shortcut. Dilute with water as needed, and then you can already assemble the salad. So we've got some greens, some parsley, cucumber and red onion, which I all cut into similar size pieces as the pasta. I then add in the pasta. You can either add it cold or warm like I did here, and stir through that dressing. Feel free to also add some crispy tofu or roasted chickpeas at this point for added protein. This is honestly so delicious, and also the last recipe for today. I hope you give some of these a try. If you do, feel free to comment how you liked it, and I will see you very, very soon for another video.